Welcome to the shadow frequency, where the veil between this world and the next grows thin, and the things that whisper in the dark are given voice. From the cryptic candlelit studios, deep in the Indiana forests, your host, Matt Wilson, and his spectral producer, Juniper Ravenwood, unearth the forbidden, the forgotten, and the fearsome. So, still your heart, dim the light, and listen closely. For once you tune into the shadow frequency, you may never tune out.
Okay, cabinet's cooperating tonight. That's either a good sign or a really bad one.
If it starts purring, we're leaving.
All right, let's see what's in the top drawer. Oh no. Matt, why is there a book of shadows in here, written in your handwriting?
What? I don't even keep a normal planner, let alone that.
The ink looks like old fountain pen. Real neat cursive in these pages, Matt. These describe events that haven't happened yet.
Okay, define haven't happened yet, like predictions or...
On a cold night in January, the light over the highway splits open the sky. Does that ring any bells?
Juniper, I swear I didn't write that. And if I did, I'd want answers from past me, future me, and whoever possessed me in between.
There's even a page titled The Folder You Haven't Pulled Yet. That's no thank you. We're putting this right back where it came from.
Yeah, close that before it asks for your signature or something.
All right, moving on. Let's see what else is in here. A jar labeled "Do not open under any circumstances." We'll skip that. A VHS tape that's hissing. Nope. Pair of glasses that reflect things that aren't in the room. Double nope.
You're doing great. Proud of you for not releasing a demon tonight.
Here we go. Tonight's episode folder, episode 245. The Baldoon Mystery.
Oh yeah, now this one is pure 1820s chaos. A Scottish family settlement under siege by something invisible, angry, and very good at throwing things.
Musket balls flying on their own, fires that ignite out of nowhere, blue candle flames flickering like they're in a wind no wind can feel.
And that witch doctor who walked in like, "Step aside, I've got this."
Tonight's episode is a wild one, and unlike that creepy book of shadows, these events did actually happen.
Allegedly.
All
right, let's get into it. Episode 245, The Baldoon Mystery.
You are tuned to the shadow frequency, where every whisper tells a story from beyond the veil. Hosted by Matt Wilson. Produced by Juniper Ravenwood. With Chris Beach. The darkness continues.
Tonight, we're stepping back almost 200 years to the frozen marshes along the northern shore of Lake St. Clair. Picture it, wind screaming across black water, reeds rattling like bones, and one lone Scottish homestead glowing faintly in the dark. In the fall of 1829, the MacDonald family crossed that threshold thinking they were starting a new life. What waited for them inside wasn't hardship or hunger. It was something that refused to let them stay. Fires that lit themselves, stones that flew from empty air, footsteps that circled the house like a predator deciding where to bite first. Welcome to Canada's burning Poltergeist, the Baldoon Mystery.
Oh, Juniper, you just made the hairs on my arms stand up. Yeah, listeners, buckle in. This one's a classic frontier nightmare, and it's all happening tonight on the Shadow Frequency.
I've been waiting to do this one for a while. Over to you, Matt.
First off, Juniper, thank you for digging so deep into the dusty old file cabinet for this one. I swear every time you pull something out of there, it feels like the paper itself is still cold from the marsh. All right, friends, let's go back to 1829. The place is the Baldoon Settlement, a soggy patch of frontier carved out by Lord Selkirk's Scottish immigrants a couple of decades earlier. Most of the original dream had already drowned in malaria and bad luck, but a few stubborn families hung on. One of them was John MacDonald. Sometimes you'll see it spelled MacDonald, same clan, and his wife and kids. They'd scraped together enough to buy a decent lot on the 4th concession, built themselves a solid 2-story frame house, the kind of place that felt like a palace compared to the log shanties everyone else had. Everything was quiet for about 5 minutes. It started small. You know how these things always do. A few odd noises at night, footsteps on the roof when no one was up there, the dogs growling in empty corners. John probably told himself it was the wind, or rats, or the kids sleepwalking. But then came the stones. Imagine you're sitting down to supper. The fire's crackling. The kids are finally quiet. And suddenly, thunk. A river pebble smacks the window hard enough to crack the glass. You run outside. Nothing. No kids playing pranks. No neighbors within half a mile. You go back inside. Thunk, thunk, thunk. Stones raining against the walls, the roof, the door. These weren't gentle taps. Witnesses said some of them came in like they'd been fired from a sling. Fast, vicious, accurate. One neighbor swore a rock the size of a man's fist punched straight through a shutter and buried itself in the opposite wall. John and the men started standing watch outside with lanterns and muskets. The stones kept coming anyway. Sometimes they'd fall straight down from the sky, as if whatever was throwing them was hovering overhead. Other times they'd arc in from the darkness, too fast to see who or what threw them. They even started finding lead musket balls inside the house. The settlers did what any good frontiersman would do. They marked a bunch of the balls with scratches and notches, then collected them and locked them away. A few days later, those exact same marked balls came whistling back through the windows. Yeah, let that sink in. And then the fires began. Picture this. You wake up at 3 a.m. to the smell of smoke. You run downstairs and there's a neat little blaze dancing on the kitchen table. On a table that was empty when you went to bed. You put it out, search the house. No lamp overturned, no ember from the hearth. You go back to bed. An hour later, the curtains in the parlor are on fire. Another hour, the bedding in an empty guest room is smoldering. One witness, a guy named Duncan McCallum, said he was sitting vigil inside the house when he saw flames crawl up the wall like glowing spiders, starting from the baseboard and racing upward even though the wood was ice cold to the touch. The fires didn't care where the family went. John finally said screw it, packed everyone up, and moved them to his father's old place a couple miles away. That very night, their empty farmhouse burst into flames from the inside out. Neighbors saw fire pouring from every window at once, like the building had decided to inhale and then exhale pure hell. But the thing that really got under people's skins? The sounds. Heavy boots pacing the attic when the attic was empty. A galloping rhythm, like hooves, crossing the roof at full run. Whispers in Gaelic that no one in the house recognized. Children woke up screaming because something grunted right next to their ears. And on the worst nights, the marching. Multiple people outside the house swore they heard it. The steady military tramp of boots circling the building. Not one set, dozens, like an invisible regiment on patrol, waiting for orders that never came. The McDonalds tried everything. Ministers came and prayed until their voices gave out. Nothing. Local wise women brought charms and bundles of herbs, burned them in every room. The activity was laughed at. One preacher even spent the night with a Bible open on his lap, and woke up to find the pages smoldering around the edges while the book itself sat closed. Word spread like wildfire, pun intended. Curiosity seekers came from as far as Sandwich and Detroit just to camp out and watch the house get pelted. Armed posses patrolled the property every night. No human culprit was ever caught. Whatever this was, it didn't need doors. And through it all, the family was breaking. The kids were pale and hollow-eyed. John's wife was on the edge of collapse. They couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't even step outside without wondering if the next stone was aimed at their skulls. By 1830, the entire settlement lived in dread, because if this thing could follow the McDonald's anywhere, who was safe? God, just saying it out loud makes the room feel colder. Whatever was in that house, it wasn't content to scare them. It wanted them gone. Or worse.
I've got literal goosebumps right now, like actual goosebumps.
Hang on to those, because after the break, we're heading into the witch accusations, the shapeshifter Goose, and the silver bullet that finally shut it all down. Juniper, take us to break.
Phew, okay, if you're listening in the dark right now, maybe turn on another lamp. That first half always leaves me checking the corners of the room. What do you think so far, listeners? Cursed land, angry spirit, something that should have stayed buried under those marshes? Let us know. We read everything. Time to fire up the spectral cosmic message materializer. But first, we will check and see what Chris Beach has for us. Chris?
Thanks, Juniper. Hey everybody, Chris Beach here. And if life's been throwing a little too much your way lately, I've got something you'll want to try. It's called Shimmerwood. And they make award-winning CBD seltzers that deliver a refreshing, stress-relieving way to unwind. These are crafted with full-spectrum CBD, so you get that balanced, calming effect, easing tension, taking the edge off, all with zero intoxicating effects. And they're not just good, they're legit. Forbes named Shimmerwood the #1 CBD beverage in the country. Twice. Each flavour blends natural fruit shrubs with crisp carbonation for a clean, delicious finish. Perfect for relaxing after work, settling in for a spooky podcast, or any time you just need to breathe out. And for Shadow Frequency listeners, you can get 30% off any product with the promo code SHADOW25 at shimmerwood.com. All right, I'm feeling calmer already. Back to you, Juniper.
All right, thanks, Chris. Let's fire up the materializer now. Flipping the switches. Let's see what it coughs up tonight. Ah, here we go. A faint little envelope just drifted out of the static.
Message retrieved from the void.
Oh, edges are still smoking a little on this one. Let's crack it open. Says, hey, Matt and Juniper, my name's Lacey H., writing in from a little town outside Springfield, Missouri. Just wanted to say how much I love ending my nights with the Shadow Frequency. Listening to your show has honestly become the last quiet ritual of my day. I'll crawl into bed, shut the lights off, put on my earbuds, open Spotify, and let you two walk me right into the weird. I've been going back through older episodes, and I have to tell you, episode 195 absolutely hooked me the way you both built the tension toward the end, had me staring at the ceiling like I was waiting for something to tap on my window. Easily one of my favorites so far. I'm a huge fan of your UFO and haunting episodes in particular, but honestly, I'll listen to anything you two put out. The mix of research, storytelling, humor, and that eerie studio vibe just hits perfectly at the end of the long day. Thanks for all the work you put into the show. It really means a lot to those of us who unwind in the shadows. Keep the static humming. Lacey H. Lacey, that is exactly why we do this. Thank you. And yes, episode 195 still freaks me out too. Matt, your turn for the second half.
You are tuned to the Shadow Frequency, where every whisper tells a story from beyond the veil. The darkness continues.
Lacey, thank you. That one warmed the cold, dead cockles of my heart. Seriously, messages like that are the fuel that keeps the mics hot. All right, where were we? The McDonald's were at the end of their rope. The house had burned again. The stones kept flying. The invisible army kept marching, and the whole settlement was whispering the same name, the old woman who lived alone on the edge of the swamp. They called her Mrs. Buchanan in some tellings, or just the witch in others. She was elderly, reclusive, and crucially, she wanted John McDonald's land bad. Offered good money for it multiple times. John kept saying no. In a tiny frontier community, that kind of grudge can fester. Rumors flew that she had the second sight, that she could leave her body at night, that she'd been seen talking to things that weren't there. People started reporting visions, the old woman standing at the foot of their beds in the middle of the night, silent, just staring. Others claimed she could take the shape of animals, specifically a huge black-headed goose that kept showing up around the McDonald farm, honking like it owned the place. Desperate, John traveled all the way to Long Point to consult a famous Mennonite witch doctor named Dr. John Troyer. Troyer's daughter supposedly had the gift. She went into a trance and told him flat out, the curse is coming from an old woman who can turn herself into a goose. The only way to break it? Cast a bullet out of pure silver, buttons, candlesticks, whatever you've got. Load it into your musket and shoot the black goose in the wing. Wound the bird, wound the witch. John came home, melted down the family silver, and waited. A few nights later, there it was, the big goose with the dark head, waddling bold as brass near the barnyard like it was taunting him. Witnesses gathered, neighbors, skeptics, everybody. John raised the musket, took aim, and fired. The goose let out a scream that didn't sound like any bird, flapped once, and limped off into the reeds trailing blood. The very next day, word came the old woman was laid up in her cabin, arms shattered in exactly the same spot the goose had been hit. Some stories say John went to confront her and found her rocking on her porch, pale as death, cradling the broken limb and muttering curses under her breath. Others say she just vanished after that, never seen again. And the haunting? Stopped, cold, no more stones, no more fires, no more marching footsteps, just silence over the marsh. Now here's the part where I have to pause and give you the one little drop of daylight because the instructions say I have to be fair at least once. Later researchers, modern ones with the benefit of 2 centuries, have poked some holes. The primary written source we have is a booklet put together in the early 1900s by John MacDonald's own son Neil, who was a little kid during the events. Neil collected 26 witness statements decades after the fact, when memories blur and stories grow in the telling. There are no contemporary diaries, no newspaper reports from 1829 to 31, nothing official. And some of the more theatrical details, the exact silver bullet to the wing matchup, the goose screaming like a woman, those feel a lot like folklore embroidery. It's possible the whole thing started as teenage pranks by local kids. Frontier boredom is real. Escalated with some hidden accomplices tossing stones and setting small fires, and then snowballed into mass hysteria once the witch rumor took hold. Marsh gas, suggestion, and a community primed for superstition could explain a lot. But here's the thing that keeps me up. Even if you strip away every goose and every silver bullet, you're still left with dozens of grown adults, ministers, farmers, people with no reason to lie, swearing on their Bibles that they saw impossible things with their own eyes. Stones falling from a clear sky, fires starting in wet wood, an entire settlement living in terror for years, that many people don't hallucinate the exact same nightmare. So maybe the rational explanation covers 90% of it, but the last 10%, that's the part that still circles the house at night. Whatever the truth, by spring the MacDonalds were finally able to rebuild and live in peace. The old woman, if she ever existed the way the stories say, faded into the reeds, and the marsh kept its secrets. To this day, if you drive out to McDonald's Park near Wallaceburg, there's a little historical plaque. It mentions the settlement. It mentions the fires and the stones. And it ends with the line, "The spell was broken. The bizarre happenings developed into local lore known as the Baldoon Mystery." Some nights, locals say, when the wind is right and the lake fog rolls in thick, you can still hear marching out there in the dark. And on that cheerful note, I think the marsh just remembered we were talking about it.
Nope, hard pass. I'm sleeping with every light in the house on tonight.
Worth it for a story this good. Listeners, that's the Baldoon Mystery, Canada's own burning poltergeist. Juniper, close us out.
Episode 245 in the bag, and I'm pretty sure my soul is still somewhere back in 1829 trying to outrun invisible arsonists. Thank you for all spending your night with us in the shadows. If this one gave you chills, or if you've got your own Frontier ghost story, hit us up at shadowpodcast@protonmail.com. And you can find our website at shadowfrequencypodcast.com. And of course, all our usual haunts. We'll be back next time with another case pulled straight from the static. Until then, keep one light on just in case. Matt, you want to say goodnight?
Good night, friends, and if you hear marching outside, don't open the door.
Sleep tight, or don't. See you in the shadows.
This episode was conjured with a solemn vow to explore the unexplained while remaining bound to the truths that have been unearthed. All interpretations are speculative and offered only for your enlightenment and your entertainment.